Well, today we are talking about pseudo transformational leadership. Now, this is a tough subject for some people. It may be hard, and we're not asking you to raise your hands or tell us, is this you? Is it not you? This is something kind of self-evaluate, self-assess. So I'm going to go through a few things, and I'll be honest with you, there were some things that I found myself kind of leaning towards more of the pseudo transformational versus the actual transformational leadership. So what's the difference? Pseudo is a non-genuine sham. In fact, what it is basically you look like you're out there shaking the world, making things happen, but really there's no fruit bared. There is no actual change in your organization or in those who you're leading. It's just basically a lot of different things, a lot of different characteristics that you may see, but it's not actual fruits of a positive change that is going to be transformational, which is more of a permanent. Pseudo's more of a temporary fix, a temporary situation. And so we're going to kind of go over a few of those things. What does it look like? What is it? And you just kind of look at it. And honestly, I'm going to be really honest with you. I caught myself being a little bit in some of these areas, but I saw where I can easily make a little shift, a little change, and be consistent in that area. And that really changed how I lead, how I talk to people, how I handle things, and really I learned how to self-assess. Honestly, there's kind of this, I'm going to kind of read you a couple things so you can kind of see the differences. And at the end, you'll be able to see a pattern. And if you can't see it, don't worry. I'm going to kind of point it out. It's something that I kind of recognize as this continuous pattern that's really important for us to kind of learn how to self-assess so that we can see that pattern and know how to change it. So I've told you pseudo is basically a non-genuine. It's a sham. Basically, it's not a true transformation. I kind of want to read you a definition of what pseudo is. It's a self-serving yet highly inspirational leadership behavior, unwillingness to encourage independent thought in subordinates, and little caring for one subordinate more generally. Now, that's really important to know. So as you can see, the definition of pseudo, it is basically unwillingness to encourage independent growth for people to kind of learn and things of that sort. Now, let's look at the transformational leadership. This type of this little definition, there's so many different ones, but this was kind of point out, at least to give you a generalized so you can kind of know what we're kind of comparing it to. So transformational leadership is a style of leadership in which the leader identifies the needed change and creates a vision, or if the company already has a vision, we follow that and we keep pointing back to that vision, and through inspiration, and executes the change with the commitment of the members of the organization. That's very key. As you can see, we point it back to the vision. We point people back to the vision, or we create a vision so that people can always follow the vision and not the individual themselves. As you can see, the difference, pseudo is more about themselves and transformation is more about the vision and the organization of where they're going, where they're heading, or if there's a ministry or a group or something that you're holding, keep pointing them back to the vision and to the group. Now, some of the things we're going to kind of point out, the different things is people. Charisma is basically, and this is also under the pseudo, this is what they're very charismatic, very charisma, and they like people to get to know them. Versus, and we're going to compare this with transformational leadership, versus get people to follow the vision of the corporation. And we just finished talking about that. That's probably worth repeating over and over and over again. And this is probably where you'll start seeing some insecurity. Yes, it feels great for people to say, hey, you're awesome, you're this, you're that, you're a great leader. It's great. It's a great compliment. But we have to stay in this sense of humility, this sense of vulnerability, yes, and to know that, you know what, it's not me. It's the vision that we're following. And in this case, for those who are Christians, we're following the vision of Christ, the vision of our leader, and those who are the vision, the very vision itself that was given by God, or the vision of the organization, even if you're not in a Christian community. So it's really important to point people back to those areas. Short-term gains, which results in long-term costs. That's what happens when you lead with the pseudo-transformational leadership. You have short-term gains versus long-standing corporate turnarounds. That's what we're looking for. We want a permanent change. I mean, that's the whole point of transforming, right? Why go through all the emotions, go through the emotions, right? And then nothing change. It's kind of a temporary thing. Sometimes it works. We go strong on something and then decide, well, and then you see a lot of inconsistency. We want to see strong, permanent, consistent change. One of the head titles between these two is Self-Centered Motivation. Okay, what is the difference between the two, pseudo and transformation? Some of the characteristics you'll see is self-centered personal gain, then corporate gain. Their focus is more on themselves versus what can this corporation gain from the things that we do, in any ministry or any company or anything that you do. The focus should be on the organization itself, what we're doing, and not self. But in pseudo, they're all about how to hustle, how to get me ahead, how to make me look good, and things of that sort. Oftentimes, a pseudo transformational leader will promote competitiveness versus collaboration. That's pretty crazy, right? You see the difference? And many times you'll also see people manipulating versus empowering their followers. See, pseudo wants to manipulate you to do what is best for them, what they think is best. What they think is, I think we should do this, versus what will actually help the corporation and the company progress or move forward or reach souls, right? Okay, now let's look at transformational in this same category. Motivated by good of others. They get excited when other people succeed in their group, in the organization, other ministries, other areas, other departments. They get excited, like, you know what, they're doing great, and they love it. That motivates them. And also they recognize when we succeed. Transformational leaders recognize when we succeed, our organization succeeds. And that is the key thing. It's all about perception and perspective. You see how easily, if we are self-centered versus we are more what we do, are we basically taking people back to the vision, back to the goal, and getting excited about it. We should be excited about other progress, other excitement, that the group and the salvations and other things that are growing, whether we do it or not, we're still part of the body. And so you are part of the organization. That's really important to kind of see that. Let's talk about Idealize Influence. In the pseudo transformation, they're all about antithesis of integrity. It's pretty crazy, right? Versus transformational leader are all about being a role model. Now, this is really important. You are a role model no matter what. I have been inspired with so many different people, whether you're in custodial, whether you are maintenance, or whether you are working at McDonald's. I have been inspired and encouraged by so many different people in so many different levels. Whether you are, high up there, you're in charge, you are the head of the entire organization, you are seen, you are a role model. And so it's really important to know that and to see yourself that, because you can easily, if you don't see yourself as a role model, you can easily take people away or take their focus away from the vision and the goals that the organization has. And we can easily be a pseudo transformation. We can easily work against the actual organization's vision. So it's important. Remember, we bear fruit. We may not think people are following us or looking at us and seeing our examples. So it's really important that we know that we're role models. We are the transformational leader. We are role models, whether we realize someone's following us or not. We are act like one, walk like one, talk like one, be one, because you are leading somebody. Encourage them the way you lead people back to the vision. Encourage them, even when you seem down or scared or afraid or not too sure where the organization is going. This is your time to be a role model. Know and trust that God has a plan and it's a good one, and lead them back to the vision of this is what we're doing and this is where we're going. Now, some other ones that you want to talk about is intellectual stimulation. The difference between pseudo and transformational leader is the pseudo, the one who perceives to be a transformational leader, doesn't like to followers to ask questions or disagree with him. That's a tough one, right? And they prefer ignorance because they have all the answers. Now, this is really important because the transformational leader, they develop their followers. They're not afraid that maybe they'll take their job one day. In fact, I was always taught and under the understanding that I need to train my replacement. I'm going to find somebody or meet someone and actually have a friend in mind that I'm going to pour into her everything that I know, and I'm going to sow into her life, and I'm going to, as though she's going to take my place in whatever it is. I should never be afraid or in fear of my job, in my position. We should always teach everybody what we know. We should share the knowledge. We should never be afraid if someone disagrees with us. Another thing, they're building knowledge in the workplace. You should always sow into those who are following you. It's very important that you sow into them knowledge, wisdom, all these great things, and encourage innovation and don't criticize. Man, I've come up with some crazy ideas. I know I have. And I've had some leaders look at me like, I don't know. And that's okay. I still write those visions down. I still make them plain and I put them in the drawer. In fact, the cool thing is many times I've been able to pull them back out, revise them, bring them back to life. And I saw more things that I can add to it and actually revise it and make it better. And so I don't give up, and some of those things that they encourage me and they still, tell me keep that vision and keep revising it and things of that sort. So it's okay when you have staff question you or maybe disagree with you, of course, in a respectful manner. That's actually most important. But it's okay. That sometimes stimulates your own mind. It's to make the team better. They have buy-in. They're part of the group. And invite those moments, and those are really important. It's really awesome. Some other things, and lastly, I kind of want to talk about is individualized consideration. The difference between the two is pseudo is very preferred blind obedience. They just prefer you just to do what they say. End of story. And versus, and they also too, just so you know, they also perceive to be mentoring and coaching for other people to see the very things that they're doing. Versus the transformational leader is more of a mentor, actually mentors them, truly sows into the people, genuinely cares about them individually, coach followers, and builds them. These are the things that maybe people will never know the investment that you've put in the people that are following you. Your employees, your staff, they may never know. We may not see a post on Instagram but the true challenge is can you continue to sow into people, those who are following, into your leaders, anybody, can you continue to sow in them consistently, whether there's a camera there or not, where people know about it or not. Those are the true inspirational, more real moments that your followers, and when I say followers, I'm talking about those who are placed underneath you, those who are following you, those who are your staff, your employees, anybody, it could be anybody. Those are the ones that they know that you're trying to build them up, that you're genuine in what you're trying to do. And that's really important. Lastly, I kind of wanted you to kind of look as we go over this entire teaching, you begin to see what do you see that's a big pattern out of all these? And the big pattern is insecurity. That is probably the biggest thing that I see the most in the pseudo transformational. If we lead as a leader in our insecurity, needing people to like us, needing people to follow us, needing people to validate us and who we are, needing approval and all these different things. And I know some of us, we may struggle with that. I know I struggle with that. But if we check ourselves before we begin to lead, before we begin to create a great idea, if we truly genuinely says, okay, what's leading? Is my emotions leading me? Is my insecurity leading me? Like, why do I want to create this new program? Or why do I want to create this new ministry? Or whatever it is that I'm trying to create, whatever it is that I'm trying to put my hands into, what is my motivation? Ask yourself that. Because I tell you, you want to lead with the right motivation, because that would create those who are following you, the type of people. The type of people that follow a pseudo transformational leader will continue to feed you. Oh, you're awesome, you're great, you're this, you're that. And you may be a little off track. Whereas a transformational leader, you keep pointing them back to the vision, and you will always attract those people who are going to be real and honest with you, because that's what they're about. That's the kind of environment that you've created. So at the end of the day, that's what I saw the difference between a true transformational leader versus a pseudo transformational leader. The very thing is be secure in who you are. Know your identity in Christ. Know who you're following. Know the reason why you're doing. Really and be honest with your own. What is your motivation? Get it right, get it aligned, and you'll be a true transformational leader.